And greetings and welcome to the QCast. This is season 4, episode 20. And folks, we have a huge one today. This is a monster episode. This is a 2-episode QCast day, by the way, and it gets kicked off. We're going to Jacksonville, Illinois. Folks, it is Steve Schweer, the head men's basketball coach of the Blue Boys of Illinois College. And Steve, last year you guys make the NCAA tournament. This year you get in the top 25 for the first time. But did you think that you'd get the QCast call? I mean, it took a while. It's
Yeah.
just kind of like waiting for like the Hall of Fame or something. Did you think that this call would come?
Yeah. I was pretty offended by the fact that there's been 4.5 seasons worth of people that you think are a higher priority than me. And, I was kind of reevaluating what I thought our relationship might be. But, I'm happy for the opportunity. I think obviously you've done some great things. I've enjoyed listening. Obviously a lot of great coaches, a lot of great people in the small college game. And so it's been really, really good. But I'm thankful for the opportunity. So thanks for having me.
Well, sometimes the way this unfortunately works out, some of the people that are closest to me end up getting penalized in these things. So I have to relook at this. But at this point, I
Yeah.
mean, so Steve, I don't know if you know this, in your last 2 seasons, you're 34-3. You're 34-3. You're 19-1 in the Midwest Conference. And this is your 6th season. And coming into this, I think the Blue Boys had won 8 games the 3 years prior. So 8 games each season, the 3 prior. Here you are, 9-0 this year, 4-0 in the league, 34-3 over the last 2. Like, just let's start there for a second. Unbelievable. And just talk about the big picture of what that means to the school.
Yeah. I think, first and foremost, I mean, the credit for this goes to our guys, and they deserve, what we've gotten. And I think, this has been a really long process for us. I mean, it's easy to look at some of our results over the past 2 years and, obviously be really excited about that, but it wasn't overnight for us. My first year, you mentioned they won 8 games. I think, we were 9-16 my first year here.
Right.
And, we were able to bring in some guys that helped us a little bit and ended up being good 4-year players. But the following year was our first, full season
Right.
recruiting that we were able to kind of target guys a little earlier. And that group came in as freshmen, and we played that following year. I think 8 of our 11 guys that were in rotation were freshmen or in their first year in our program. And we got worse. We were 6-19.
Right.
And now we were close in a bunch of games that I felt like, we could see that we were being competitive with some young guys. But that group that were playing early there as freshmen, those guys were all of our seniors last year.
Sure.
And so they were able to kind of weather the storm a little bit of some of the bumpy roads early, and then COVID obviously, and finding a way to navigate all those things. And, we really started to kind of find our way in the second half of 21, 22, where we got hot down the stretch and ended up making
Right.
the conference tournament. And then we were able to kind of keep it rolling from there. I mean, this is a credit to our guys. They've really worked at it and stayed the course, and we've started to kind of build an identity for ourselves a little bit, and we're excited about where we're at. But, the numbers obviously sound really good, but we're trying our very, very best to enjoy it as we go, but really focus on, what's immediately ahead of us. So
You're ranked 23rd in the country currently, and that's to the fault of other voters, because I think I got you like
yeah.
16 or something. So you're way higher than that on my ballot, and I believe that is where you fit. And we'll talk about your team and how you play. What's cool, I think, is that you've done this so organically. Like, first of all, your career, I look at, and we need to get in, like, for people looking to get into coaching, we need to talk about
Sure.
like all these steps that you've taken to get this
Yeah.
opportunity. Then 2, the way you've built this at Illinois College, recruiting, young guys turned into old guys. Now
Yep.
you've got old guys who are teaching young guys. You've got that thing going.
Yep.
You got to be as you take a step back and look at what you've built in, now your sixth year, you've got to feel pretty good about now the how solid the foundation is. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. You're right. I mean, we typically recruit, high school guys. We'll occasionally have a transfer that fits. I mean, obviously one of our big pieces this year is a kid that transferred in, but for the most part, we want to recruit 4-year guys. I think there's a lot of value in having people for that period of time, and being able to develop those relationships and getting guys to understand what your system is and what your expectations are, and probably the biggest piece is the relationship that you're able to build over that period of time.
Right.
No matter how skilled of a people person you are, it's just not the same being able to only have 2 years versus being able to have 4 years
Right.
or 1 year. And there are some people out there, like obviously in the day and age of the transfer portal and grad transfers and all that take a lot of those guys, and they're, kudos to them. I mean, that takes a lot of talent to meld
Sure.
a team together with new groups every year. And I certainly don't fault that. It just hasn't really been the way that we've done it. And I think being able to really impress upon our group, like this is the way that we're going to do things. And we say, play to the standard is the standard, that type of stuff all the time. Like, we're going to do things this way. And if you want to play here, this is what's important.
Right.
We need to do that on a daily basis. And if we're able to do that, then we're going to get the results that we want. So it's been fun now to see some of these things, when you're struggling to get the right outcomes and you're preaching this stuff, that's when it's really rocky. And so again, I think our guys deserve credit for really jumping in with both feet
Right.
and believing in what we're doing and sticking through to see the results.
By the way, your facilities there are great. I don't
Yep.
know if everyone around the country that follows Division III basketball understands how great. So we see your gym, and remind me, I can't remember the name of the building or the floor. What do we call the building?
Bruner Center is the
Bruner.
facility, Sherman Gym, and it's Bill Maris Court for the late Coach Maris.
It's a great place. The picture there, it is right behind Coach Schweer. It's a beautiful place.
Yep.
It was built. Gosh, it's been a long time. It feels like it came out somewhere around the same time about the Shirk Center, right? Are they
Yep,
about
it's
the
actually
same
the
age?
same. It's actually the same builder, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm pretty sure '03 was year one when it opened. And a funny story, just as a kind of a tangent here. You get a lot of times a senior gift when you're graduating. I got a picture of me playing in a game, and as a senior, and that game is in Illinois College's gym, and it's in my
Really,
basement. Yep. I also had.
really.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious. I got Trost little note on there, and one of the first things that happened to me when I got here is I went down in the cages to like look at our equipment stuff and what we had, and I found the VHS cassette of that game too. So I have that. In my
Well, I'll
office.
take you
Pretty
down a
hilarious.
deeper road on that game. Is
Yeah.
I did the radio. Mr. Kimball couldn't make it, and so I was shifted to play-by-play. I was asked to play point guard, and my shooting guard, my color guy, was none other than Mr. Jake Shealy, I
Oh yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
And I believe that the Illinois college students were chanting, "We're down 40." If you look at the play-by-play, I believe the Titans were at 40, and that tells you how much things have swung, my friend,
Yeah.
because that if the Titans roll in there now, we have ourselves an unbelievable ball game, and I believe the home team's a little bit of the favorite in that one. And so you got to feel, I mean, it is pretty cool, Steve, like looking back at, look, and the program's had plenty of good days. Illinois
Yep.
college basketball's had plenty of good seasons, but here you are ranked number 23. And, it's just really cool to see what's going on there. Let's talk a little bit about this team. I want a couple games stand out. First of all, it's like you guys have that issue of, if this was Division I, we would talk about majors and mid majors and all that. People
Yep.
look at the Midwest Conference and they're not sure what to make of some of these games you play in your league. So it's like, well,
Yep.
they haven't played anybody kind of thing. But boy, when you beat Wabash, that was a signature win because Wabash is really good. They're
Mhm.
not ranked right now like they were at the time of the game,
Mhm.
but you and I know they're really good. And then maybe a game people didn't know was a huge win in the moment was Co.
Yep.
Because if you look at what Co has done, they're on my ballot pretty high as well. So Co and Wabash wins. Did you guys feel like those were really important to kind of building this and what comes with wins like that?
Yeah, this is always an interesting conversation for us to have, and I have it with our AD and with a lot of other coaches at the same time. And first thing I want to say, just because we're going to have the audience, is there's really good basketball in our league. I understand that you can look at the records and all that other stuff,
Yeah.
but the reality is when we're scheduling non-conference games, like for the most part, we're playing. All the teams in our league are playing CCIW, WIAC,
Yep.
ARC teams, some NAC teams, all that stuff, and those teams are all really good. And I just think in general sometimes it gets lost in translation how hard it is to win a game, like one singular game. Like it is
Right.
hard to win, and so a lot of times outside looking in, you may have some conception of what it is in our league. We've got good coaches who work really hard, and we've got programs who are successful on a yearly basis. And so I would just start by saying that. But to your point about the Co and Wabash games, we really we wanted to make sure that we were trying to get some more really good teams on our schedule. And this year the Marist tournament, I mean the fourth team in that tournament was North Park, and
Right.
so it was that four, I would argue, is as good of a tournament that anybody's
Absolutely.
playing. And so for us to be able to find a way to win those games was really big. And obviously those wins are the reason why we're on the radar nationally. Not to take anything away from our league games, but in order for you to get attention from people outside of your region, outside of your area, you've got to beat some of the better teams. And so having the opportunity to play those games and having the opportunity for us to be successful in those games was great for us. And again, I think it helps prepare us for what our goals are, and so as good as it is to play those types of games, our focus remains on trying to win our league. And if we win our league, we give ourselves a chance to host the tournament, and that's going to give us the best chance to win it and have a chance to play in the big tournament. And that's what we want to do every year. So
It's a great point with, every league. When I talk to coaches, one thing that I consistently learn is that like how tough winning every league is in every league game. Whatever you want to, however you want to rank teams on a computer, and you say, oh, this is the best league and this is the 32nd. The 32nd league is a hard league to win.
mm-hmm.
And that's something that I've really got an appreciation for. Currently in the Midwest Conference, you guys are 4-0. Grinnell is 4-0. Beloit's 4-0. And Knox is 2-1.
Yep.
Is that I can't remember the preseason poll other than you were picked to win it.
Yeah.
But Grinnell, Beloit, were they in the mix as upper half teams, or is this a little bit of a surprise start? I can't remember.
Yeah, for the coaches poll, I mean, you and I both know sometimes those things are, just completely
Right.
off base. But I think Cornell was picked second. Ripon, I think, was up there. Maybe Monmouth. And so Beloit's got a team that they've been playing together for multiple years. They're old now, and they're all going to be back again, I think, for a fifth year. They're all seniors, and they're going to come back again. And they really, really guard, and they're physical. Grinnell, obviously, with their system, and I think Dave's got some freshmen that came in and are really doing some things for him. And Knox added some pieces and has done a really nice job, and they've always played hard under Ben. So those are three new teams that are, kind of in the mix up there at the top. But, like we just played Ripon, and I told our guys, like, that's kind of been a rivalry for us a little bit, just because, with when Ryan was there, like they were at the top of the league for quite a few years, and we were trying to chase them down. And, I thought they played really well against us, and they're, you see their record, but you look at their schedule. I mean, they've played like a top 5 schedule in the country.
Well, they beat Carthage, right?
Right. And their win is against Carthage, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a top 20 team in the country.
Yes.
And they played a bunch of WIAC teams tough. And so, there's also some teams in our league that have had some injuries. Cornell has a really significant player that's been out. Monmouth, same thing. Lawrence has had some guys get hurt. And so, you never really know on a given day, just looking at, the standings and that type of thing, what's going on. But, like I said, I think our league is good. It's competitive, and like you said, it's hard to win. So,
Yeah, it is. It's a strong league, and usually it's a league where no one has really like dominated it year after year after year. And so it's a league you come into not knowing, like this season, Grinnell, Beloit have emerged towards the top already. So it's a fun league.
mhm.
Um, just before we get into some deeper things while we're talking about kind of league and stuff, strength of schedule is always going to be an issue for you guys.
Yep,
And like I just before we jumped onto this, I looked at the DataCast projection of SOS.
yep,
Matt's got you like projected 482,
yep,
which you're going to be in that same boat, Steve, where like
yep,
no matter how many wins you have, you're going to be ranked behind some teams, right? In
yep,
Region 9. And
yep,
that means probably first weekend you end
yep,
up going somewhere. Last year you went to Wheaton and they were
yep.
unbelievable. You played Wheaton. So like, I don't know, is there, you've scheduled good teams now. You're still kind of fighting an uphill battle. That SOS thing, is it like it is what it is at this point, or how do you look at
Yeah,
that?
well, and again, I think the mentality for us is, again, like, what is going to give us the best chance to achieve our goals, which is to win the league and give us a chance to win the tournament. Like, I think that we've tried to schedule some better teams. I think there maybe still could be some room for us to improve our schedule, but at the same time, like, you know, does us going out and playing, like us playing all nine of our non-conference games are top 20 teams in the country, right? In a given year. Let's say we did that. If we had our best year, maybe we can go 5-4,
Right.
at best, and then or maybe better. I'm not trying to undersell us.
Yeah.
The reality is hard to win those games. And, if we do something like that and we go, we lose 1 or 2 games in the league, we're going to be in the same position that we're in right now. I mean, our SOS is going to be a little bit better. Our win-loss percentage is going to be lower, and there's still going to be other teams that are
Right.
probably going to end up ahead of us. So again, in my thought process is just, how can we prepare ourselves for league play in the best way possible? And I think there's a combination of wanting to play
Yeah.
good teams who really challenge you and wanting to play against similar teams who, we can try some of the things that we need to try
Right.
in league play. And then, having an opportunity to get, your rotation set and that type of thing for when you get to those conference games. And so, it's really hard. And like, I hear all the talk about it and all that stuff, and you got to play better teams and this and that and the other thing. Like, I think we have a good schedule. I really do. I mean, like I said, I think we might be able to do some things to get a little bit better, but we're playing 2 CCIW teams. We had 3 ranked teams come and play in our tournament. We're going to Otterbein, who's really freaking good.
Yep.
Like, hopefully we get a chance to play them. I mean, I don't know much about Covenant I don't know I haven't watched any film on them, but it is what it is. We're going to play the games we play. And
Yep.
like I said, our goal is to win the league every single year. And we're going to do everything we can to try and put ourselves in a good position to do that. And I think if we do, then we're going to have a good chance to potentially move on.
Very, very well said. Every team has to make its own decisions on what's best for them. And like you said, when you're fighting those headwinds of SOS, it would take all of your non-conference games. And by the way, it's hard to do that. Even if you sought out to
Right.
play,
Right.
you play like, Mary Hardin Bailey, you think is going to be, a 20-win team, and they're a 14-win
Right.
team. It's hard to make it perfectly align.
Right.
Let's
And, I,
talk.
and I'm
Yeah.
and I'm sitting here saying we could potentially go 5-4. We could potentially go 0-9 against that schedule. You know what I mean,
Right,
like,
right, right.
I'm not silly enough to believe that, like, we're just going to roll into, some top 20 road games and just, steamroll people. Like, that's not the reality of the situation. Like, those games are really hard to win. So they are hard to win. They're hard to schedule. They're hard to fit, all those things. So it's a tough thing to do, but again, like, we want to stay focused on, what our goals are. And we think that's going to give us the best chance to get where we want to go.
Want to talk about your team, and what I think is cool is, so the Blue Boys have practiced, and now there's a bus. I'm picturing in my head, there's a bus sitting outside somewhere. Guys are starting to get on it with their stuff. I think the bus was supposed to leave a little earlier, and the bus is actually going to leave a little later because of this QCast
Yeah.
interview. I mean, can you confirm that, Coach? I think
Yeah,
that's
no,
kind of legit.
that's 100% confirmed. I want you to understand the sacrifices that I'm willing to make to be on this. In addition to that, we had a little internet issue at the gym, so I'm
Oh,
actually I'm actually in my living room right now. I came home to get on this.
I thought you were in the corner of that gym. I really did.
Yeah, yeah. So, it's good. We're heading up to Milwaukee. We're gonna get out of town a little bit and get some good food in us and spend some time together and play an MSOE team who can really score the basketball. So we're excited to play again. Our guys are finished with finals. It's a big, kind of load off their back and looking forward to getting back to hoops and getting after it a little bit.
Yeah, heading to Milwaukee for a game tomorrow that's at 2 p.m. against MSOE. So everyone should check that one out. And so let's talk about a few of these guys on the bus. When this kid committed, when this Buzz Ritzel kid committed, I had all kinds of Twitter fun with this thing because Buzz Anthony was the guy in the moment. And I kind of connected Buzz Ritzel and Buzz Anthony to where they're retweeting each other. I thought that was
Yeah.
great. And it turns out, by the way, that this Buzz Ritzel kid is super good. He's
Yeah.
averaging
Yes, he is.
16 points a game, 6 rebounds, and assist. He's kind of a combo guard and can really handle it. He's crafty. He's a scorer. Let's first talk about your 6'3" junior from Nashville, Illinois, Buzz Ritzel.
Yeah, he's been great for us. Last year I thought he had a great year, and honestly, his freshman year, he was kind of our sixth man right away, and so he was getting a little bit of time and scored it a little bit for us. Really defends, and then in the second half of the year after break, we like a whole half our team got COVID, and so we went up to Lake Forest, and he started and scored 18 for us.
Wow.
And then the very next day, he absolutely busted his ankle and he didn't play again for the rest of the season. He kind of got robbed a little bit of the back half of that first year. But he came in the lineup as a sophomore and was just great for us and has continued to do so ever since. And I think, I would be, selling him short if I didn't start by talking about the fact that he is an absolutely elite competitor. Probably more important than any of the actual tangible basketball skills that he brings to the table.
Sure.
He's just a guy that competes his butt off every single day. And we need guys like that, and so he kind of sets the table for us a little bit, and we play him as a one. And I think, he can be a one, he can be an off guard. I think he guards a lot of positions. He's really smart on the floor, but again, I just think his competitive edge is what separates him from other people.
Yeah, I think he's turned out to be a lot closer to Buzz Anthony, the guy from the Twitter thing, than I ever expect. He's a really, really great player.
Yep.
Another guy, your 6'6" grad student from Providence Catholic, Jake Mazremis.
Yep.
I believe I'm doing his name justice. 15,
Spot on.
10 rebounds a game. He's kind of a 3-4 guy that brings good size to the floor. He can shoot the three. He can score it a lot of different ways. Talk about Jake Mazremis.
Yeah. So Jake, he was one of our very, very top targets in that first cycle. So, he was a guy that came in with our first full year recruiting class, and he has absolutely been the guy for us since day one. I mean, he averaged, I think, 18 and 9 as a freshman, and has just been so steady for us every single year, and has continued to work at it. I think he's always been able to shoot the basketball at a high level. He's gotten a lot stronger. He's developed his game in the post a little bit. He's become a significantly better defender, but a guy who has just really bought into every single thing that we've asked, and has been a leader for us, in his ability to show up day after day. But obviously, his ability to produce, he's had tons and tons of monster games for us. And, if he were just to, knock on wood, just finish the season as he's doing right now and play all the games, he will graduate as arguably the best player to ever play at online college statistically.
Wow.
So, he's already number one in 3-point field goals made. He's top 10 in scoring. He's top 10 in rebounding.
Wow.
He's, I think, number one in block shots. he's been really, really special for us. And we were fortunate to get him back. You know, like he went in the portal, um, and there was a lot of interest in him. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, like he didn't get offered a full ride or anything. And for his last year, I think he just wanted to see if, you know,
Good for him.
we could have another great year. And he's been a big part of our turnaround as a program. He's been a big part of our success every step of the way, and just really, really thankful to have him.
Fun player to watch play, folks. If you haven't watched the Blue Boys, Jake Mesremis, again, 15-10, great player. Another guy, Josh Harris, is a 6'5" junior from Timothy Christian. 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, does a little bit of everything for you. Talk about Josh Harris, if you would.
Yeah, you know, another guy that you know, he got recruited by a lot of people. We were able to win that one out, and you know, his Timothy Christian team was really good, and that was the year I think that everything got cut short. They were going to go downstate, I think,
Right.
and Ben Vanderwall was on the team. He's playing at Furman now, and had a couple other guys that were really nice players. And I tell Josh this all the time. It's probably the best Christmas present I ever got. He called me Christmas morning and told me he was coming to Illinois College. So,
wow.
You know, left-handed kid, big wing with size that can really put it down and attack defenses in a lot of different ways. You know, a guy that can heat it up. I mean, he had 32 and 24 minutes against earlier this year, and has had some absolutely monster games for us. And probably above everything else, just a really, really good kid that loves hoops and loves being in the gym and competing, is a good teammate. You know, and again, a guy that I think has continued to try and work hard on, you know, the things that we're asking. Like, you know, I'm not sure that he was a guy that was really, he's probably going to hate me for saying this. I'm not sure when we got him, he was a guy that was really thinking, I want to be a lockdown defender. I think he wanted to score it. And we need our guys to guard, and that's an expectation for us. And he's really worked hard at getting better on that end of the floor. So proud of him, excited to have him for this year and another year ahead.
And just one more guy to ask you about. And, you know, I don't know, Coach Schweer, if you're appreciating all the things this guy is doing. You know, sometimes maybe you're watching other guys, but this Nestor DeBoyne character, this kid's a 6'9" forward from Katy, Texas. First of all, I want to know how you get a guy from Katy, Texas. I go to Houston for work all the time, and I'm thinking like, how does Steve get this kid from Katy? So I need to know that. But Coach, check this out: 8 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. Are you aware of what this DeBoyne kid is doing for you out there?
Yeah, you know, and to be honest, like he's averaging 3 blocks a game, you know, and I think that may be one of, you know, the more significant ones. He would argue that he's averaging 5 a game, and he's getting shorted by every SID in the country.
It could be.
He might be, you know, he might be. So I'll tell you how we got him first. You know, we had actually one of our transfers that we did get was Troy Burrows. You remember that name?
Yes.
Came to us, you know, from a CCIW school, and
absolutely.
And, prior to that, Troy played at John Wood Community College in Quincy. And one of his teammates was the older brother of a guy, or he's from Katy. His name is Aziz Fadika, and he was the older brother of Mo Fadika, who played for us last year.
Oh, wow.
Mo and Nestor were friends from back home. And so we got Mo after their run to Danville, his second year at John Wood. And then he told me about a guy that was looking for a place. And you know, as a coach, when you hear about a kid, hey, I got a buddy who, you know, needs a spot, you're thinking he's probably slow and can't shoot, and, you know, something like that. And I asked for some film, and I popped it on. I was like, man, we might have just hit the lottery on this one. So Ness has been great. You know, his ability to impact games on the defensive end is first and foremost, you know, just an incredible ability to block shots, affect shots, rebound the basketball. You know, I say this all the time. He's in my opinion a unicorn at our level. I you know, in the day and age of guys transferring up, I feel very, very fortunate that Ness, you know, is loyal to us and wanted to come back and try and do something special here. And he does a phenomenal job. And, you know, his ability to pass the ball is great. We run some stuff with him out of the high post, and he's able to find some guys. He can put it down a little bit. And he would tell you that he's actually a knockdown 3-point shooter too, but the coach is holding him back. So, uh, I could. There's probably some more stuff he can do too. Yeah, and I'm gonna bring up one more guy.
Please.
Jaquez Tippett is our fifth starter. And, it's funny. We were in practice today and we were talking about something that we were running offensively. And he kind of shrugged and said, I'm just a lockdown guy.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
hey,
good.
it
He's a
doesn't,
lockdown guy.
yeah, it does like, kind of
He
shrugging
doesn't
off.
care about that.
Right. So, but I told him, I said, I don't know that there's a more important role on our team. And he, is a guy that has, he was a scorer and a shooter in high school. He's from Granite City. And, his willingness to buy into
Sure.
a role of really just sitting down and guarding guys and letting his offense be a little bit secondary has been really, really important for us. And so I want to make sure I highlight him because he's great. I mean, he really is. He gives people problems in a lot of
Right.
ways. And he can just move his feet and anticipate in a way that not many people can. So just wanted to make sure that I highlighted him as well.
Yeah, he's that guy that, like, growing up when you're playing, there was always that kid that, like,
Yep.
you did, like, you're, oh crap, like he's
Yep.
guarding me, and you're
Yeah.
like, it just makes you really uncomfortable. When I
Mm-hmm.
watch him play, he reminds me of that. Like, oh, that seems like a load to play against that guy for like
Yep.
30 minutes on the floor.
Yep.
And then Du Bois, he really is a kind of a difference maker. 6'9", he is super like long, right? He's just
Mm-hmm.
super long, and I think, like, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I think that you're going to be able to get the Buzz Ritzels of the world. Not that that's easy,
Mm-hmm.
guards, but when you can find a guy like that to play the five, I think that's what starts to make the Blue Boys into a top 25 program because, as you know, and you've been there, the big boys all have size. It's hard to go
Mm-hmm.
into the tournament with a 6'4" guy playing the five, right? And so, like,
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like you've got a great player there in this Du Bois kid. I
Yeah,
really
no,
do.
there's no doubt about it. I mean, he was a Division II kid out of high school. He, got a full ride to Davenport and went up to Michigan, and it just didn't kind of pan out for him. And so we were fortunate to find a connection with him. And
Yeah,
like you said, I mean, it's just really hard to find guys with size, but not only that with him, I mean, his athletic ability is pretty unbelievable. And so you're right. We're really fortunate. And I say this all the time, like we're going to find out if I actually know what I'm talking about on the defensive end when he is gone,
right.
because he can erase a lot of mistakes.
Sure.
Now I will say we've got two freshman big kids that are really good, and I'm really, really excited about them. And I think they're going to be really tough in
Sure.
there. Yeah, Nestor certainly, thankful to have him. He's been great for us to kind of anchor our defense and do a whole lot of other things too.
We've talked about defense, and so it's a good time now to transition into this. So about a week ago, I was like, okay, it's, we're well into December. It's time to click on the Division III stats and see what's jumping out to me. I always go to the team page first, and I go to opponent field goal percentage defense. Number one, Illinois College. I clicked on it again today, still number one, and there's a gap. So the Blue Boys opponents, Coach Schweer, are shooting .303. Number two on the list is Kelvin at .331. So, like, it's not even that close right now. You're giving up 53 points a game. You're out rebounding opponents by more than 8 a game. Talk to us about what's going on the defensive end, because it's unbelievable how hard you're making it for your opponents to score.
Yeah, and again, our guys deserve a lot of credit for this because, I can imagine that it's probably maybe a little bit frustrating to have every single drill be designed to, elicit intensity on the defensive end of the floor and measure stops and not care about scoring and all these other things that I know are really important to, young people. And so I think we emphasize it relentlessly in practice. And I think we've been able to see some of the results of that. I probably need to be a better coach on the other end of the floor, but I've told our guys, since I got the job, that if we can be an elite defensive team, we're going to have a chance to win every game that we play.
Absolutely.
And so they've leaned into that. And when I first got here, we were at dead last in basically every single statistical category in the Midwest Conference when it comes to defense. And we've been first in everything the last, right now I think we're first in just about all of them. And last year we were first in just about all of them. And, that's meant a lot to me personally, because I believe it to be true. It's meant a lot to me personally because I've believed it will be true, and it has come true a little bit. But I think, again, like the buy-in from our guys and the ability to kind of create an identity for who we are has been something that's been really fun to be a part of and watch. And so I think, we're going to keep harping on that. And we ask a lot from them on that end of the floor. And I mean, it's a every single drill type deal for us, from the second we get in until the second we leave. We're talking about winning one-on-one matchups and guarding your yard and finishing plays and coming up with the 50-50 balls and all that stuff. And, we've found some success doing that, and hopefully we can continue because, it's been fun.
And like you said, that gives you a chance in every game. And when you get in the NCAA tournament, you're going to face teams that are bigger. You're going to face a team that, that looks like, I don't know, Wisconsin Oshkosh or Illinois Wesleyan or WashU. But the ability to defend, I mean, that gives you a chance even when you're giving up size, the ability to make it hard on people. I think that's what has turned you into, a top 25 team, and a team that people need to be looking at is what you're doing. I mean, you're number one in the country in opponent field goal percentage. On the offensive end, I guess the way I would describe your team and I watched the Co game, I watched the Wabash game. I was at the Great Lakes Invitational when those were live, but I went back and watched all of them. And I would say offensively, you're balanced. You have unselfish guys. There's constant movement on the floor. It doesn't seem like any one guy is hunting shots. It seems like everyone's making an extra pass. How would you describe your offense? That's what I see as someone just watching streams.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of guys that can do some different things, and I think we've got a lot of guys that are capable of kind of carrying a load for us on any given night, which makes it a little bit easier. I try to put us in. I wouldn't say that we're necessarily structured. We run some sets, obviously, but like my goal is to try and put us in a couple different actions that are going to create maybe an advantage for us and kind of let our guys do what they're good at as much as possible.
Right.
I'm a big believer that, if I'm going to be demanding the intensity level and the effort level and the attention to detail that we do on the defensive end, I kind of have to let them do some of their own thing on the offensive side of the floor. And whether that's good or bad, I don't know, but that's just kind of been my mentality with it. And so we've tried to find some things that we feel like highlight what our guys are good at. And I've always believed that, the major goal is to be able to identify what that is that you're good at and try and do that as often as possible. I think we've got some bigger guards that sometimes we post. I think we've got, a really good stretch four that we can invert the floor with. I think we've got a facilitating 5-man who can pass the ball. And so we try to get those guys in situations where they can do the things that they're good at. And when we're looking good, there certainly is movement. Sometimes we get a little stagnant, but I think that's fairly normal for a lot of teams. And we're a work in progress on that side of the floor. There's no doubt about it. But we've got some talented guys who can do some pretty cool stuff with the basketball. And I want them to be aggressive and confident and see what happens.
Yeah, I remember watching the replay of the Wabash game. You got down 10-2, and you called a timeout. And I believe you ran something very specific out of that timeout. And I don't know if it went the way it was supposed to, but Buzz Ritzel scored a basket, and then all of a sudden at halftime you were up 31-21. So you're down 10-2. You went into the locker room up 31-21, and it just seemed like offensively your guys played with a lot of momentum once they got rid of that 10-2 deficit. I think got it tied up pretty quick. Want to talk, Steve, about just a few more topics here about recruiting footprint with Illinois College. The way when I look at your roster, you're doing really well in that radius around Jacksonville, whatever that is, a 150-mile radius, whatever it is, like, the St. Louis-ish area, central, you got your buzzes from Nashville. So I appreciate all these places because my dad's from Pinckneyville, Illinois. So I appreciate places like Nashville. But you're also, what's impressive to me is you're not scared to go up to Chicago. Like, so I know some Division III coaches, they'd be like, I'm not going to get those kids down here. But you've got like Ms. Remus is from Providence Catholic,
Yep.
and Harris is from Timothy Christian. So like, talk to me about like your recruiting footprint and how you look at where you're getting your kids from.
Sure. So, first thing I would say is at this point, like I'm getting up there. Like I'm one of the older guys around, and like I've been doing this in the, Illinois area since I started. And so, and a lot of that has been in the Chicago area. And obviously, I grew up in the West suburbs. And so a
Hinsdale
lot of,
Central, folks.
yeah, that's
Hinsdale
right.
Central.
That's right. So a lot of my connections, over the years are guys that are coaching in the Chicago area. And, if you work at it for long enough and guys, start to recognize you as a guy that's in the gym, all of a sudden, sometimes your phone burns up a little bit more with, hey, maybe you should come check this guy out. So we're fortunate that we've, been able to have some help from some really great high school coaches. But there's good players everywhere, and we are not going to shy away from going out to look for them. And I think, you know, I'm not going to get into this. Like, we want to work harder than everybody else. Everybody says that. Like, we just try to be in as many gyms as we can.
Sure.
Like I want to see as many kids as I can. And my assistant is an absolute monster on the trail. Like, he's on the road all the time and works his butt off and deserves a lot of credit. Jay Rowell is his name, just for everybody out there. He's incredible. So we really get after it, trying to find guys, and it doesn't really matter where they're from. I feel like, in general, if we try to, like, a 4-hour trip, maybe a little bit more sometimes is usually a good barometer for like where we're going to have a good percentage chance, because kids don't want to go, like, for the most part. I mean, kids don't want to go super far away from home. And there are some who do. That's a generalization, but for the most part, that's kind of where we start. And then we can branch out from there. But I think the way that we've tried to do it is, we're looking for competitors. We're looking for guys who love to play basketball and want to get better. And that's not to sell short the other pieces that you evaluate when you are looking at kids. Obviously, we want, kids from, that are working hard academically and take care of business off the court, and, that are just good people in general, and all that other stuff. Those are all really important. But I've found that if you really want to be good, it has to matter to you. Basketball has to matter. Like, you have to want to work at it to get better over the course of 4 years. And, we're not always going to get the guy who's completely polished. That's not always going to happen for us. And I don't really care what the deficiencies are. If you are a competitor and want to work at it, you can turn yourself into a player. And so we try to find those guys that will fit with our group. Our group, I feel like, is full of those type of guys, and we continue to hunt for that when we're out. And so, obviously, you're evaluating talent and how they play and this and that and the other thing. But a lot of our work comes when we start to get to know the kid and what makes him tick and that type of stuff. So we've had some success in that. And again, I want to give credit to Jay, because he's been with me for five years now, and he's now our full-time guy. But he was doing it for peanuts for 4 years and just working his tail off. We've had good guys, prior. Jacoby Julian was our top assistant last year. He's at a D2 in New Mexico. Luke Duckett was our assistant before then. He's helping out at Oshkosh now. Coleman Reed is like my little brother and still lives in town. He's no longer coaching, but he was with me at Monmouth as a student assistant, and then came down here when I first got the job. Malik Wildermuth was with us for a couple of years. He's at Augie. So we've had a bunch of guys that have come and done a nice job for us. And those guys deserve a lot of that credit too, for helping us find the right kids and getting them here to Illinois College.
Wanted to ask, just quickly touch on your coaching path from a standpoint of what I like about doing this thing is a lot of people will send me notes back about, like, I really appreciated when you asked that coach about their path and how they got into this, because, I want to be a coach someday and I don't know how to do it.
Sure.
You're a great example of someone that just grinded his way. I mean, I think the order of this is Lakeland, North Park, you got a master's degree in there, Monmouth, and then North Central and the
Yep.
CCIW, and then you get the Illinois college job. What advice would you have for somebody that's maybe a senior right now, or a grad student, or they're young in their career, in terms of like someone that wants to have their own program someday? What advice would you give them?
Sure. I've got a couple of things for this. The first one I would tell you is, like, it's okay to be unsure a little bit. I mean, I thought I was going to teach and coach in high school. My dad was a longtime high school coach and then an AD, and a lot of other family members in education. And I got to my student teaching and I was like, this is just not for me. And I didn't even consider college basketball to be an avenue. It just didn't occur to me that that was something that I could consider. And I took the LSAT as a senior in college and went to law school for a year. And I was living in Chicago, and, I went to John Marshall at night and worked at an IP lawyer office and during the day. And it was an interesting experience for me, but like miserable, just not for me at all. And so what I did was I reached out to every coach that recruited me or that I had knew at all. And ironically, the guy that got back to me was Kyle Brummett. He's the head coach at Wabash.
Yeah.
He was at Lakeland at the time and gave me my first opportunity. And so I had a great chance to learn from somebody who has had a ton of success at a lot of places. The assistant coach at the time was Aaron Onenson, who's at Wisconsin Lutheran now. And
Right.
so, he's another guy that I was fortunate to be able to learn from and try to take some things. And, moving on to North Park and work for Paul Brennigan, who was a great coach and a guy that I learned the value of institutional knowledge from. He worked for Reese Johnson for a bunch of times a bunch of years as assistant before he got the head job. And, he knew everybody and knew where to connect and how to connect. And that was something that I thought was really, really amazing. And I hadn't really occurred to me as a young coach. So thankful for him. And then, the other thing I'd tell you at this point, like, when I was done with my GA at North Park, like, I applied for every job in the country. Like, and I'm not, that's not an exaggeration. I applied for every single job, like the assistant job at Kentucky, I probably applied for. Like, it did not matter the level. It did not matter whether I was qualified. I applied for every single job in the country, and I got 2 interviews. And one of them was at Clark and Dubuque, and the other one was at Monmouth. And I ended up taking the Monmouth job. Coach Scrivseth, thankful for him giving me an opportunity. And, we were able to, I felt like, do some pretty good things at Monmouth, and we're able to kind of build that thing. And he's a phenomenal coach, and as good a coach as you're going to find at a small college level. I mean, they're competitive every year, and they play hard. And, I was thankful, our AD there is Roger Haynes, and he was a longtime track and field guy in the Midwest Conference. And I felt like I still considered him to be a mentor to me today. And so that was great experience for me. And when North Central called, I mean, that North Central's 10 minutes from my family. My wife and I went to high school together, so her family's right up there too. And
Right.
With an eye on trying to get a head coaching job, I felt like working for Todd Raridan might be a really good thing
Absolutely.
for me. And he and I had that conversation when he hired me. Like, I was very clear, like, hey, my goal is to be a head coach, and I'm thankful for him. I know I wouldn't be where I am today without him giving me an opportunity. And then Mike Snyder, who was the AD here at IC, who was the first person to say yes to me, and gave me an opportunity. And I text him every now and again just to let him know how much I appreciate that. And, hopefully he feels like he made a good hire. We're certainly doing our best to make everybody here in Jacksonville proud. And I think I'm really proud of the fact that it took me 11 years to get a job. I think a lot of people would say that that's not what they want. They want to get a job really. And I did too. There were times where I felt like maybe I was ready, but I'm very, very proud of, what I was able to accomplish at a lot of different places and the people that I was able to learn from, and the ability to stick with it, and keep working. And it's been really good. It's been really good for me. I think I have the best job in the world. I'm very, very blessed to do what I love, and I've got a great group of guys. I've got a great coaching staff. Our administration's phenomenal. Dr. Farley, Kent Siltman, our CFO, Megan Roman, all the way down. Like they're phenomenal people who, make it a joy to work at Illinois College. So very, very fortunate.
Great stuff. I think people will get a lot out of that. And then before I let you go, as I know that bus is getting warmed up out there,
Yeah.
I can't let you go without talking about working or playing for Scott Trost. And that I don't know how many the exact number of college games that you played, but I was probably there for 99% of them, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I remember that nucleus extremely well. You came in to Scott Trost's first recruiting class in this monster class with 2 first-team All-Americans. I mean, Adam Douches, Keelan Miljanovich. But then, oh, by the way, the Jones brothers and Steve Schweer and Matt Arnold and Mike McGraw and Jason Fisher, and like unbelievable recruiting class that won 22 games, 21, 21, 25, won 3 CCIW titles. The year you didn't win the CCIW, you went to the Final Four.
Yep.
Your experience at IW playing for Coach Trost, takeaways from Scott. I mean, anything you would add there?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is playing small college basketball is the best decision I ever made in my life. I think that minus marrying my wife and having kids, let me put that stipulation in there. Sorry.
Nicely done. Pro tip.
I talk to those guys very, very frequently to this day. They're in my phone burning me up about being on this. Actually, Jake Shealy was the one that first texted me.
I like it.
So it's been really good to stay connected to that group. Obviously, we had, a lot of success, as a team. And that was really fun and memories that I'll have forever. But, all those guys are doing great things with their lives and have moved on to, have families and that type of thing. And to be able to kind of stay connected with them and hear from them about what they're doing and their interest in our program and support for us. I mean, a bunch of them came to the Lake Forest game, and then a bunch of them were at the Wheaton game right behind our bench last year. And so that's, and to be honest, they're not fair weather fans because they came and watched us when we played at Elmhurst and got our heads kicked in 4 years ago at the hands of Coach Bain. So, it's been really, really good. I enjoyed our time. I thought we had a really great team. Playing for Coach Trost was awesome. He's a tough dude, and he demands a lot out of you. And there are times, like when you're in it, where you're just like, man, like but I would not trade it. Like he made me tougher. Like he made me a tougher person. He made me a tougher coach. He made me like just understand that there's a way that you do things, and that nothing less than that will be acceptable. And I think I coach that way to a certain extent.
Sure.
We have a way that we want to do things, and it doesn't matter to me what else is going on. Like we've got to compete at that level, and we've got to execute in this way. And, nothing less than that is going to be acceptable. So I'm thankful for the lessons I learned from him. I still see him out on the road. I just saw him, probably 2 weeks ago. He and his wife were out watching one of the guys that's committed for him next year. And, it's been good. I don't regret anything. I'm thankful for the friendships of those guys. I'm thankful for the opportunities that have sprung from, the stops that I've made, including, where I went to college. And, like I said, I just feel very, very fortunate to be in the position that I'm in. And I'm hopeful that we can, keep pushing this thing higher. I don't think that we feel satisfied or like we have achieved everything we want to achieve. I think there's more out there for us. And, we're going to keep working as hard as we can to try and give ourselves an opportunity to compete at the highest level and achieve all of our goals. So
I keep thinking to myself as I'm looking at these like projections of regional rankings. I just keep thinking there's going to be an Illinois Wesleyan, Illinois College NCAA tournament game this year, and I just really believe, Coach Schweer, that I'm going to end up in some gym watching that game be played. So just you
uh,
heard it on the QCast first, Steve. You heard it
yeah,
here first.
well, we're gonna try and be there. Who we play, we'll see. We're gonna try. We're gonna try our best to be there. So
It's going to be fun if that happens. And I'll just say a few things and then kick it to you for your final thoughts, as I know you got to roll up to Milwaukee for your game tomorrow. Incredible job, Steve, on what you've done just with your career and working hard and doing all things the right way and grinding. And now great job at Illinois College, 6th year, 34-3 in your last 2 seasons and 9-0, 4-0 in the league right now. We're proud of you. You've done amazing things. You're crushing it. And I'm going to kick it over to you for any final thoughts for the QCast viewers today.
I appreciate what you do. I had a chance to get on the D3 Hoopsville thing late last year, and I said
Yeah.
kind of a similar thing to them. I think that there's so many special things about basketball at our level, about athletics at our level in general, and some of the experiences that you can have. And I just am very, very appreciative of the work that people put in to try and highlight what it means to be a college athlete at a Division III institution, because it hasn't always been that way. That there were media outlets trying to cover us, whether it be the QCast or D3
Right.
Hoops or whatever else, and it's fun to see people talking about the kids that compete in a positive light. I was one of those guys one day, and like I said, I loved every minute of it, and I'm very thankful for it. And in a lot of ways felt like I couldn't give it up. So here I am. You know, proud of our group, excited about what the future is going to hold. And we're continuing to look for more kids that want to come in and compete hard and continue to raise the level of Illinois college basketball.
Appreciate that, Coach Schweer. This has been a blast, long overdue. Thanks for hanging in there with me.
Yep.
Folks, that was the QCast Season 4, Episode 20. Steve Schweer, who's doing big things at Illinois College. The Blue Boys are rolling. Look for them to continue rolling. Good luck at Milwaukee School of Engineering, and then at Augustana Thursday. Obviously, that's not going to be an easy one whatsoever.
Yes, sir.
Steve, great job, and look forward to seeing you in the gym real soon, my friend.
Yep. Thanks, Q. Appreciate you.